The river can kill you in 1,000 ways. Those immortal words were spoken in the worst fake accent of all time by Jon Voight in the 1997 cult classic, Anaconda. Even with an all-star cast including Jennifer Lopez, Ice Cube, Owen Wilson, and more, the movie was absolutely demolished by critics. However, the film's legacy is a bit more complicated than that, as it's also developed a well-deserved reputation as a so-bad-it's-good classic, alongside the ranks of The Room and Battlefield Earth. With that kind of legacy of being adored by many without being taken too seriously, it makes it perfect for the kind of meta-revival that 2025's Anaconda reboot is aiming to be. Armed with star power like Jack Black and Paul Rudd, this new take isn't a mere remake of the 1997 movie, but rather a fourth-wall-breaking comedy that hopes to lovingly satirize the absurd elements of said original film. Valiant as that goal may be, Anaconda's many pacing issues prevent it from being the cohesive love letter to a 1997 disaster piece that it wants to be.
What is Anaconda about? Doug McAllister is a successful yet miserable wedding video director who has always dreamed of being a major motion picture filmmaker, while his best friend, Ronald Griffin Jr., is a down-on-his-luck actor still riding the wave from a laughably limited role on SWAT. This ongoing crisis leads Ronald to buy the actual film rights to 1997's Anaconda, so he and Doug can make the movie of their dreams with a group of their childhood friends. They get the camera equipment, a boat with a captain, and even a real giant snake. But what they aren't prepared for is a very real and excessively large anaconda that dwarfs the 1997 movie's animatronic by a mile. The meta-premise of 2025's Anaconda is its biggest selling point, and it's fitting that it comes from director Tom Gormican, who made a great impression with a movie that has a similar meta-concept, that being Nicolas Cage's The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. That movie, while still being a comedy through and through, did have a great beating heart at its center in how it really takes a vulnerable look at Cage's legacy and career. Even with Anaconda's narrative shortcomings, one thing it does particularly well is give its characters a surprisingly poignant human story, with their love of filmmaking and how it bonds them together, making for something surprisingly sweet. Sadly, even the best concept in the world can't save Anaconda from some truly abysmal pacing. Right from the jump, with a jarring cut to the opening title card, some scenes in Anaconda just sort of end without any rhyme or reason, often so without the film's titular giant snake, who truly feels like an afterthought more than anything else. The snake itself barely has any plot relevance until the last 30 minutes, where it feels like it was added because the filmmakers forgot there was supposed to be a giant reptile in the film. The characters themselves also don't really seem bothered that there's a gigantic prehistoric monster chasing them either, and while that could have been fuel to further the comedy from the absurdity of the situation, the movie misses that opportunity and instead acts like nothing happened. The ending, in particular, feels like a rushed race to the finish line, being no different than any other climax to any other movie, with its over-the-top chase scenes and rampant cameos.
Anaconda's saving grace is its dynamite cast.
The jarring pacing and editing don't even account for the constricting plot holes, particularly in that all-over-the-place third act. However, many of Anaconda's shortcomings can be forgiven thanks to its dynamite cast. As expected, Jack Black and Paul Rudd are an incredibly charismatic duo, and Black even gets the rare but welcome opportunity to play against type and be the more reasonable straight man to Paul Rudd's eccentric goofball. Thandie Newton and Steve Zahn are also excellent in their supporting roles. However, the really unsung hero of Anaconda, surprisingly, is none other than I'm Still Here star Selton Mello. Even in the presence of comedic powerhouses like Black and Rudd, Mello easily has the best and funniest moments in the entire movie's runtime. He's so charming, to the point where it becomes a little disappointing that he wasn't in the film more. The main ensemble of Anaconda is solid as a rock, but an unfortunate straggler is Daniela Melchior's character. Melchior does a perfectly fine job with the material she's given, but she isn't given much, with her character just feeling like a piece that doesn't fit in with the rest of this puzzle.
It reaches a boiling point when what could have been a really interesting twist falls flat, given how little development was given to the character and her side story, which feels completely and utterly superfluous to the film's main meta-comedy narrative.
Anaconda's biggest disappointment is its titular giant snake.
While the human characters have more hits than misses, where Anaconda really struggles is in its titular giant snake. For one, it has a shockingly small amount of screen time, let alone relevance to most of the runtime's events. Secondly, where the original had a goofy yet still aesthetically pleasing animatronic snake, the giant CGI creation here just feels too fake and out of place in the movie's world, regardless of how seriously you're supposed to take it. Anaconda had the premise and bones to be something really special when it comes to meta remakes. It had a great cast and a surprising amount of heart, but that's simply not enough to save the movie's rough pacing and pointless subplots from the jaws of a giant snake who barely appears on the call sheet. If you're looking for a fun, entertaining, laugh-out-loud horror movie about a giant snake hunting a crew of people on the Amazon, you're honestly better off watching the antics of the original flick instead. Anaconda slithers into theaters on December 25th in the US.